been, let me see, we did this last night and we had a fucking blast. It was a really good time on so many different levels. For me, because I got to hear if the script worked or not. That was the first time like we ever read one of my scripts like out loud, and particularly that fucking script. And you know, I've been nursing that motherfucker for 5 years. The draft I think we're reading today is the 8th draft, and I think it was dated 2014. So it's going back a few years. And it's so nice to be able to kind of kick back and watch it like unfold, like while reading with them. It was a surreal experience. Even more surreal because we're here. Like, I don't have a career without this place. I came to the First Avenue Playhouse years ago, long before I even made Clerks, just to see shows with my girlfriend Kim, who like lived like right across the street and stuff. Because we were theater kids. So the idea of like, oh, there's a theater in town, we can go see shows. They did a different show every month and stuff. Loved the idea of this place from the get-go. Then one day, years later, I was like, I'm gonna make a movie. We needed a place to have auditions and shit. So I said, where better than the First Avenue Playhouse? And I came to speak to the owner, Joe Bagnall, and I said, hey man, like I'm trying to make a movie and I want to hold auditions here. And after assuring him that my movie wasn't pornography, we came to an understanding. And my understanding was like, he had access to a pool of talent that I didn't have. I didn't know a fuck ton of actors and stuff. So I wrote Clerks without knowing who would fill all the parts. So coming here exposed me to a bunch of people that populated probably 80-90% of that cast. I was trying to do the math last night, but I was too stoned. But I think it was easier to backwards reverse it. I think I brought Jay to the movie, and I think we said Jeff Anderson counts as part of the First Avenue Playhouse because he came down here the day we were auditioning just to see how things were going. And I said, hey man, while you're here, jump up on stage and do these J lines. He didn't show up. I don't know if he's gonna be in the movie, so can you read these lines? He was like, these are fucking filthy. I said, yeah, just do it as best you can. And he stood up on stage next to the guy who I'd written Silent Bob for, my friend Mike Bellicose, who was here hanging out during the auditions as well. And that was on the Clerks 10 DVD. You could actually see that footage and stuff. So that happened 25 years ago plus.
Before we get into it, I'm only going to show you one, but I got 2 signed posters at script reading of Clerks 3, and it was just pretty dope. Pretty freaking dope. Kevin, please release signed versions of this script. I would buy it. Please, please, please. Or just bring one to the Chicago stop of your Clerks 3 Roadshow. It's for me. I'll keep it. Shh. I'm going to the DC and Chicago stops on the road show, so if anybody sees this, find me. I want to meet as many people as possible. I'll go to all the meetups I can, and if this isn't, if too many people have this, look for the person missing one of their buttons, because I went to the premiere with this button off, didn't even realize it. Anywho, I got asked this.
Snoochie boochies.
And I will try, because I was one of the lucky few who got to go in 2019 to see the Clerks 3 script reading that I've been waiting for since 2006.
Hey, kid!
I didn't do a video about it at the time because, one, it felt disrespectful. It just felt disrespectful to everyone who was there, the creators, Kevin, the performers, the viewers, and even more than that, I didn't want to put anything out into the world in case it actually came back up in this script, or most of all, it influenced anyone's view of this movie. Please, if you haven't seen the movie version, watch that first. Don't watch this. Just see that version first. Let that cement in your mind as the version of Clerks 3, because I'd hate if you had this rolling around your noggin, making you analyze this version of the film on a first watch. That would be... Okay, I'm not gonna. I just thought about maybe I'll release this in 5 months. And also, if anyone is wild enough to be watching this before they actually see the current version of Clerks 3, I'm not gonna be talking any spoilers for the movie we got, because I'm not. Yeah, that's my line. If you want to watch my spoiler review, that's on you, and woo! You are wilder than I am, because I've been waiting too long to get spoiled on anything. There's going to be stuff that I've forgotten. There's going to be a couple things that I actually remembered purely by Googling around. And if anyone else was there and they want to fill in blanks or add details that I forgot, please just put them in the comments, because basically until Kev decides to actually release the old script, please, Kev. This is the closest we're going to get to a full picture. Yeah, you're supposed to unbutton these when you're sitting down. All right, so how the movie opened was very similar to how Jay and Silent Bob Reboot opened. Literally, like Kev has said, he wholesale took that and put it in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, cock smokers and all that. And one detail that I got by Googling around was that Jay and Silent Bob, of course, get arrested, but Dante and Randall also get arrested. And they're all being interrogated at the police station, but that interrogation is interrupted and they're all rushed to cells for safety because Hurricane Sandy comes. And this was the part where I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm glad we didn't get this version of the script. I guess there's technically spoiler-ish things about Clerks 3, the current version, if you like fill in the blanks, but I promise I'm not going to do anything shocking. So this is where a spoiler would be, because the quick stop gets destroyed by the hurricane. And I get where Kev was coming from. You know, he probably was inspired by real life Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey and wanting to represent the struggle of his fellow New Jerseyans or Americans in terms of the aftermath. But for this franchise, I mean, I don't even have much love for the first one. I saw Clerks 2 first, fell in love with that, and I didn't really connect with Clerks 1. I connected the hell out of Clerks 3, though. And even for me, it felt wrong that we were repeating exactly what happened in Clerks 2. In Clerks 2, we open, there's the fire, they work in movies, the whole movie, and then they find their way back. If we were going to do that all over again and just not be in the quick stop for the final installment, I mean, it just didn't feel right to me. Anyway, Dante's daughter is deaf. You may recognize this character as showing up in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot as Millennium Falcon's best friend, and she and Dante are living without Becky. So in this movie, Becky passed away already. I don't remember where it happens, but there's this really beautiful scene where Dante's daughter is asking Dante to tell her about her mom. I think the day her mom passed away. So there were nighttime alarms that would go off in the quick stop, and they'd mostly be false alarms. They would always be false alarms, I believe. So Becky goes over to turn off the alarm and believe she died like Dante was supposed to in the original Clerks 1. There was an armed robber or burglar, I guess, since no one was in the quick stop at the time, and she unfortunately died because of that. And as far as I remember, I think there's only a really quick clip in the movie, as in like the characters are holding a phone kind of thing and looking at a clip of Becky playing ice hockey. So Rosario Dawson was not in this film. Someone who is here is a new character who would be Randall's love interest. Dante's had two women to choose between in Clerks 1 and Clerks 2.
How the f*** do you always have like two good-looking girls who want you? You're the most hideous chud I've ever met, and you always have a pair of girls fighting over you.
This time, Randall would fall in love with someone, and, inspired by his true life again, Randall would try marijuana for the first time. These two things tie together because, well, one, the original person who was supposed to play Randall's love interest was Sarah Silverman, but the company that was supposed to make Clerks 3 originally, the one that rhymes with wet spleen. You know, I heard that there was a screening of Clerks 1 and 2 at a bar, and every time that logo came up, they hissed and booed, and I love y'all, Kev heads. They wouldn't pay her fee, which is ridiculous. She's the GOAT. She can do serious, she can do heartbreaking, she can do hilarious, she can show up in like Little Dickie's Save That Money. She's amazing. Why would you not? Are you fucking stupid? Anyway. So the backup actress for her character was Frankie Shaw, who you might recognize from did they ever make the full season? Hollyweed, I saw the pilot. She was in that. She was also in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot as the prosecutor in the courtroom scene. So she was going to play that character. And there's one scene I remember. Okay, I'll tell you Randall's story for this. So Randall, after having lost the quick stop and not having any guiding light to his life, he decides to camp outside of a movie theater for an entire year before a Ranger Danger movie comes out. And this becomes a bit of a phenomenon. This is another detail that I forgot this part. but people start lining up with him. And during that year that Randall's camped outside the movie theater, a kind of society happens. Like he literally makes a quick stop pop-up shop. I did remember that. And continues on waiting for this Ranger Danger movie. Stuff happens. I believe Sarah Silverman, Frankie Shaw's character, worked at the movie theater. So I remember one scene where they're like hooking up on a couch, I think in the projector area, and she's the one who gets him to smoke weed for the first time. So she's his Seth Rogen. This is where a lot of stuff is hazy for me, what happens like mostly in the middle of the movie. But the end is, I believe, Dante's daughter goes to see the Ranger Danger movie, and he's there. He has to be, but I don't remember if he's going to see the movie or if he's just dropping her off and leaving. But he sees someone dressed as like whoever the villain is in Ranger Danger. And I'm going to pause really quickly to tell you about my time on spoilers on Hulu. I hate what I say in this episode, but it's important for the context of this. I saw The Amazing Spider-Man with Kevin, and I saw a couple other movies, I don't remember which, with him, but one that stood out as unusual from all the other filming times was The Dark Knight Rises. And once you understand why, it won't seem unusual at all, but it sticks out compared to the other times. So I saw the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises and didn't hear about the news that there was a shooting at one of the screenings, if we all remember. So when we get to spoilers, I wouldn't blame Kevin for just sticking to the format and getting the job done. I wouldn't have been like, how dare you, but he couldn't just pretend like that didn't happen. It hit him a lot. And he needed to redo the whole format of the show and just focus on talking about what happened in that theater. And that's what I really admire. We all know how much Kev can talk about movies. But the second that there was something more important to talk about, he was like, fuck talking about the movie. Fuck talking about the movie on a show called Spoilers. Let's talk about what happened. In between takes and stuff, I got to thank him during setups for doing it this way, but it really affected him. And that was important context, because where we go from there is Dante saw the guy dressed as the villain, I think carrying like a heavy duffel bag with him. And that guy dressed up as the Ranger Danger villain goes into the screening where Dante's daughter is seeing the movie, and Randall's there as well. I mean, he's been waiting a year, why wouldn't he be? And the guy starts shooting up the theater, and Dante's daughter would 100% have died if it wasn't for Dante running into the theater and shielding her. So, as you can imagine, he gets shot multiple times in the back, and she survives. And one detail I didn't remember, but that I found from Googling around, was that Dante also had a cancer diagnosis and apparently months to live, but he saves his daughter's life with the last breath, and Randall ends up adopting her, Dante's daughter. So the spoiler show was done in 2012, and Kevin said publicly that his first draft of the script was done in 2013. So I think that's why there was the shooting, because of how that Dark Knight Rises shooting affected him. I don't doubt it wouldn't have been powerful for us to see it like that, but the biggest mistake with that script was not being at the quick stop the whole movie, for me, for my money. And I think we have a much more resonant movie how it is. My first question meeting Kevin Smith on spoilers was, will Rosario Dawson be in Clerks 3? But actually yesterday I read an article where he was talking about a potential Tusk 2, and that he would need to have Johnny Depp's character in the beginning of that movie. But the issue with that is that when you're dealing with a famous person, you are at the mercy of their schedule. So I think that's why he hedged towards not writing Rosario into Clerks 3 in that script, because he didn't want to risk, becoming some crucial part of the movie and then it all falling apart. I mean, now I think we've all seen her in the promotional pictures. I met her at the premiere, which he didn't even expect her to be able to be at the premiere. She's fucking Ahsoka. She's a mega talent. So Becky being dead and not doing anything with Rosario Dawson, that struck me as wrong. And especially the quick stop. Yeah, that was I can't imagine the resentment at having a Clerks 3 where Dante dies and basically not being at the quick stop. that was the one thing actually I thanked Jeff Anderson for backing out of this version. All right, so there's one more detail, but it's just spoilery enough. It's the smallest spoiler. It's the premise of Clerks 3, this version, the version we got. But I still don't want to risk spoiling anything about it for anybody. So before that, I just want to say I did my Road to Clerks 3 video. There's a bunch of other Kevin Smith Clerks 3 stuff that I've been putting out because of this movie coming out. But I mentioned that video in particular because I'm just really interested in other people's journeys, even if they just want to like one shot it and tell their whole journey to Clerks 3. I want to hear it. And on the off chance like Kevin ever saw these videos, he's made my heart grow 10 times its size. He's made me emotional. He's made me cry in his movies. And I hope he's done that for all of you. So if there's some way we could all do that and make him cry, like have his heart expand, besides, you know, when he actually gets to see fans on these road shows, which are so infrequent, I want to be able to do that. So feel free, no pressure. You don't have to watch mine. You don't have to make yours. But if you do want to, those links are down below. And now for the final part that I think is kind of spoilery. So the one thing I wish we had gotten in Clerks 3, and this isn't the spoiler part, I guess it's a spoiler that it won't happen, so if you wanted this, you won't be disappointed, but the premise is the spoilery part. So the premise of this is that Randall is inspired to make his own movie a la Clerks. And I wish we had a little clip in like the credits of Sarah Silverman or Frankie Shaw like interviewing Randall, much like Jen Schwalbach had interviewed Kevin, and just leave it there. Just be like, oh, I know what that means. That's gonna be the love of his life. And then we kind of, you know, get a wink to this. And yeah, that's the only thing I really wanted. I'd love a little 2-minute short on the Blu-ray. That would be dope if somehow it could be done. But that's what I remember happening in the original Clerks 3 script. Oh! I'll put this at the front too, but we had the option of buying these signed posters afterwards as extra, you know, donations to the theater, and I got 2. So pretty dope. Okay, bye. I even wrote on it, Clerks 3.
With the signed lobby cards that are hanging out right by the concession stand, yes, the dessert bar, or toward the back. So if you can, pitch a few more bucks that way. I think it's safe to say at this point, between the 2 shows and the lobby cards we sold yesterday, and hopefully the lobby cards we sell tonight, I think we cleared 20 grand, didn't we?
Woo!
Don't applaud us. That was your money. So thank you.
And on behalf of First Avenue, we thank you all so very much.
All right, folks. It is. There's a lot of hurt and destruction out there in the world right now. As I said on social media today, there's not much we can do about that except the opposite: create. You see a lot of destruction out there. The thing is to counterbalance it with creation. Put something wonderful into the world. Put something into the world. Something positive. You know, don't create more fucking trouble, and don't create like more debate where you're like, I just want to get online and bitch about this shit. Don't fucking help. I know everyone wants to get shit off their chest and whatnot. Do that creatively. Make something. You know, that's how we fucking curse and cry out against the darkness, man. You shine a fucking light. Be that light. Make something in the midst of all this fucking darkness. You know, I hate to borrow a movie line, and they borrowed it from somebody else, but it's always darkest right before the fucking dawn. So it seems very bleak right now, but America is this amazing experiment that hasn't been fouled in over 200 fucking years. So I think it'll get back on track. Until then, just create, man. Just make some stuff. Put it out there in the world. Counteract all that destruction. You created some shit today. You created opportunity and hope for the First Avenue Playhouse. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me read this shit out loud to you. Thank you to all the thespians and whatnot. Go support the arts, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.